and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Ain't She Tweet, and with me today is my good friend Essie McPeter. Say hi!
Hello!
So, as mentioned, this is Ain't She Tweet, released on the 21st of June 1952. It had a Blue Ribbon reissue sometime in 1960. It's the 652nd in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. You can find this on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 2 DVD set. The restoration there wasn't particularly great. They have redone it, and hopefully one day that'll make its way on a disc set. So, we'll see what happens. Now, in case you haven't seen this cartoon, I can't show you the full thing here due to copyright on YouTube, but what happens is we see Sylvester, he sees Tweety and a mouse in a pet shop. You think the short's going to be all about him trying to get into this pet store, but no, Tweety is bought by Granny, and Sylvester tries to get Tweety, but for some reason, Granny has millions of bulldogs in her yard, but anyway, it is what it is. Few bits of trivia on this one. First up, the title is a play on the saying "Ain't She Sweet," and that is also a title of a song that plays over the title card. But unfortunately, that makes this cartoon more frustrating because it's such a great cartoon, you keep forgetting what it's called because the title is so darn generic. But anyway, it is what it is, and unfortunately Friz is the worst offender on that front. Now, in a blink and you miss it moment, we see a company called I, Wayner. It was Wayner, isn't it?
Yep, Wayner.
I, Wayner Company, and that's a reference to the background artist named Irv Wayner, who started doing background art for the Friz Freleng unit. I wonder if there was like a mandate from Friz saying, hey, can you start putting names in the background again? There we are. Now, those XM rocket plans that we see later on, I do have to wonder if that's a reference to the 1950 movie Rocket Ship XM. You'd think so, given the name, but I could be wrong there. It's likely that it is. Now, as I mentioned before, when we were looking at doing another review together, you wanted to do Ain't She Tweet, and I thought, alright, another Sylvester Tweety, sure, why not?
ST likes doing only AA shorts, never the good ones.
Yes, that's right. But then I started watching this, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I've seen this before. This is a great one. This is one of the best Sylvester Tweeties ever, and it is. I still stand by that. And I'm thinking, those darn generic names, Friz, what are we going to do with you? But anyway.
It's such a ridiculous cartoon. The fact that it throws you away by thinking it's going to be about the pet store, but then it reveals itself as just being a cartoon about Sylvester deal with all these chaotic dogs that are in Granny's yard while trying to get Tweety in a very just blackout gag way. It's just so ridiculous, and yet it works. It's so funny.
It's definitely a major highlight of 1952 and also the Sylvester and Tweety filmography. So first of all, when we open up with the short, we see Tweety singing Fiddle-Dee-Dee, and Friz Freleng must have had a love for this particular song because Bugs Bunny not long ago sang it in one of his shorts. Yeah, I guess he must really love that song.
Fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-die, all I can see are rainbows in the sky. Oh, fiddle-dee-die.
But speaking of music, though, when you see Tweety and the mouse in the pet shop talking to each other while Sylvester's trying to listen, we hear nothing but music, and Carl Stalling did a similar thing in the first major Pepe Le Pew short, the one that won the Oscar, and it's great how he does that. It's really great.
It's odd because in this one, there's like really not much one can say, but it's so good that there's just a lot to talk about. In some areas, it's still kind of just standard, I guess. I just love this title. In Greg Ford's commentary, I recall that he brings out a piece of a Chuck Jones interview he did, and Chuck Jones cites this as one of the cartoons that proves Friz's genius. And I honestly have to agree because he can take these characters that he's worked with for quite some time now and put them in an utterly chaotic situation that works really well.
I love how this short is set up to make you think, oh yeah, this is just going to be a standard short where Sylvester's going to try and break into this pet store to get Tweety. There's nothing wrong with that, but that's what the short leads you on to believe. But no, Tweety ends up being bought by Granny. But just before all that happens, apparently Sylvester is fast enough to catch his own brick that he throws.
Please laugh this off.
So which short did you say had a similar gag to that?
Peck Up Your Troubles, when Sylvester tries chopping down the woodpecker's tree, and then the bulldog comes out and gets angry because dogs and trees, and Sylvester has to stop himself while axing the tree. It's a great piece of timing in that one, and in this one, it's a bit more chaotic because, again, Sylvester has to take the pain. In Peck Up Your Troubles, he just has to stop it.
So, as mentioned, Granny has bought Tweety, and Sylvester just casually goes in thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this bird, and then, yeah, we see the main objective in this short, those wonderful bulldogs. So many bulldogs barking their heads off, and what's interesting is that Frears uses the same technique that he did in Foxy by Proxy, where there he had so many dogs just crowded together, giving off the illusion like there's a huge bunch, whereas here it's a little bit more looser, but every bulldog seems to be on its own very basic cycle. I guess it's one way to save money if you're going to showcase lots of different characters. But at the same time, a lot of this short, as Greg Full points out in his audio commentary, a lot of the carnage in this short happens off screen. You don't know. You don't actually hear any of it, which is, I guess, one way to imagine that Sylvester's fate is even worse. Did you, when watching this short, realize that?
I did. I don't think they were necessarily going for the most extreme budget cuts, but during, I believe, the 1946-1947 season, there was a bit of a rough time post-war, and that was the beginning of it, and then I think by around this point, television really begins to take off, and I guess we're beginning to feel the effects of that.
But at least they're getting around that in creative ways, and it actually works pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I do have to ask, how did Sylvester get that little cat head made so quickly? You have to wonder, he's like, oh, there's dogs, I'm just going to test this out. He just pulls out a stick with a cat head, puts it in, and he goes,
no,
oh, that's...
Thinking of the Tasha title, the first of his Bugs, and he did the same thing, but I think Bugs actually made it in that one. It also shows just how different ideas and timing was doing, because in the Tasha one, it's also a lot more subtle when Elmer attacks it. He just brains it up and then just brains it down. It's all damaged. I don't think Bugs felt anything. It was very deadpan.
So now, of course, the short starts in earnest. We all know that the rest of the short is just going to be about Sylvester trying to get Tweety in his new home with Granny and trying to get around these dogs. So first up, he just tries to climb around, and he's even so confident that he just sticks out his tongue. But what does Tweety do?
Cuts it down.
Yes, exactly. And that scene just reminds me of Tweety when he was a Clampett character, because in Bob Clampett's unit, Tweety was a lot more aggressive, and some of that was taken away a little once Freeling took the character and made it his own, but we get some hints of that old Clampett mischievousness of Tweety here, and I think it's great. And I love the delivery by Tweety.
That putty-cat's got a pink skin under his fur coat.
Gotta love those Tweety-isms in that. So yeah. Now we do hear the wonderful Mel Blanc. This one, maybe not the best delivery out of all of them, but it's always still good to hear. You do have to wonder, once he does those stilts, how does Tweety lift up all those tools? He goes, here, dogs, you might need these. And he just chucks all the tools down. You know that sort of thing is coming, but just the extremity of it, just fantastic. I'll absolutely love that. Now, Sylvester shows off, of course, how smart he is, and he does what he's been doing in the past few shorts, where he comes up with a plan, and he puts together some sort of contraption. So this is what reminds me of the Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner shorts, but this feels like it's a Freeling version of it. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that, though, of course, in this case, it's not quite as, I guess, genius, I would say. It's a lot more focused on getting good character and gags, because the Roadrunner isn't quite much of a character, but he also doesn't really interact with the Coyote.
Yeah, this particular gag just reminds me of it, like whenever the Coyote just makes a machine or whatever, and then he just fails instantly in a few of the gags. It just definitely reminds
me of that too.
Now, and Sylvester does enter the yard when he's in that bucket, and he enters in. Another musical bit that I think a lot of people might miss, I think it's actually a really nice touch, when you see him mouth the word yipe, but he doesn't say it. It's actually a violin doing that noise. I thought that was a really nice touch. probably my favorite part of the cartoon. Mel Blanc doing his old man voice, and of course, like, oh, that poor pussycat, and he just chucks him back over. There you go. And then, yeah, Sylvester gets attacked again.
Well, the poor pussycat locked out of his yard. There, I'll put you back, pussycat.
And then we get the package gag. You have to wonder that Sylvester's such a genius, he creates rockets and everything, and yet he can't seem to read the fact that this package has dog food. So, go figure.
My, they sure must be hungry. Wouldn't even wait for me to unwrap it.
And of course the delivery by Bea Benaderet, how she's like, oh, the dogs must be really hungry. And again, the carnage happens off screen, and it works really, really well because you think it's more gruesome had they actually shown it. And we finish up at night. And you have to wonder, wouldn't Sylvester be starving by now? He really wants this small bird, and even if he catches it, I don't think it would be filling enough. But anyway, whatever. It's just a cartoon, I know. But yeah, we're at night, and then we get this nice little ending gag. It's not the strongest gag, but hey,
it just kind of ends
nicely. Yeah, exactly. That's probably the low point, I think. I felt like it could have used a bit of maybe a snappier ending, but you know what? It's fine. I like it. And now here's my good friend John, who wanted to say a few things about this short, including pointing out where one of the gags of this short ends up being reused. So take it away, John.
Hi, it's me again, and today I want to give my thoughts on this Sylvester and Tweety short, Ain't She Tweet. So the first thing I want to say is the first time I watched this short was in the second Golden Collection. And I remember it was one of the ones I will watch most of the time because of how much I enjoyed it. And I can definitely say this is among the best Sylvester and Tweety shorts, because it has some very good gags, good animation, great music, and obviously the voice acting always top tier from Mel Blanc. So I want to talk about my favorite scenes on this shorts, involve a couple of gags. The first one is the gag where Sylvester decides to use two logs as high shoes to cross where the dogs are, and suddenly Tweety decides to launch a few tools for the dogs to destroy them. I think that's a very funny gag, and that gag seemed to have been so popular that Frizz decided to reuse it in a couple of shorts. I remember this gag was repeated later on Roman Legion Hair, with Yosemite Sam trying to cross the bridge to get Bugs, and Bugs throwing the toast to the lions. But yeah. Then another scene that I really like is one of the times that Sylvester manages to escape the dogs. Suddenly an old man appears and is like, oh, poor little guy, you cannot pass the other side of the fence? Here, I'll help you. And he throws him to the other side of the fence, and you can later hear the barks of the dogs. I really like that gag. I find it very fun. And another gag that I really enjoy is the final one, which is at night, where Sylvester tries his final chance to get Tweety, but suddenly a clock begins to ring, and the dogs wake up, and it's all revealed to be Tweety. This is one of the little times that I can say that Tweety was being a very naughty boy. But yeah, I really love that ending scene. In conclusion, for me, this is one of the best Sylvester and Tweety shorts ever. I really loved it. It's a childhood favorite as well. And I'll give it this a solid 10 out of 10. I recommend you all to watch the entire short. It's something you won't regret. And that's all that I have to say for this short, and I'll see you in the next review.
Yeah, so as for a rating, look, this one gets a 9 out of 10 for me. It is definitely a fantastic short. It's one of the best Sylvester and Tweety shorts, and one of the best of 1952. It's just the ending lets down that little bit, but even then, it's fine. What would you rate this one?
I would say 8.5.
Yeah, so it's definitely a high up type short, and yeah, I think it's one of the best. You guys let me know what you think. Do you think this is one of the better Sylvester and Tweeties or not? But that's another one off the list, so thank you guys for watching, and until next time, take care.
That's all, folks.
Now who do you suppose would want to disturb those doggies so early in the morning?